your favorite cousin at a healthy in-between. The name's Laé D and I'm the slayer of fuck boys, so call my name out when they treat you like a sex toy. I'm a drag queen and I'm what I call a fag rapper or a drag rapper. And so a lot of my raps have to do with what I deal with in a dating scene, or what I deal with as a person of color, or as a person of color who has to deal with all the atrocities that we face on the daily. Drag has definitely been a therapeutic process for me, dealing with my transitioning into this new person I'm becoming, but also giving me a platform to be that visible moment for people who don't really have that visual reference of, either being gender binary or being a proud person who is gender nonconforming. Sometimes I feel like I'm a double agent almost, especially when I'm very cis-presenting. People might think oh, he's just a gay man. But I'll hear a lot of transphobic language or verbiage around, and in those moments I'll definitely step up and say no, and I'll use my privilege as a cis man to kind of enforce that kind of patriarchal kind of energy. I consider a trans film someone who embraces femininity in all of its grandeur and beauty, whether it's being a little bit more softer or a little bit more caring, or wearing heels with a suit, or adding those subtle nuances of being what's considered a woman. At least that's what I consider for myself. I always joke that as people who are experiencing transitions with either our gender or our sexuality, whether it's fluid or not, or just going from one spectrum to another, kind of like Pokemon, because we're actually evolving right in front of your eyes. And so I'm learning to be open to the experience that I'm experiencing being a trans femme. Specifically, as a Black person, I face tokenism in dating apps, whereas either people don't want me because of that, or they only want me because of that. And so add on to the part that I'm gender non-binary, I'm a trans femme, whereas people want that even more. I'm kind of this rare kind of unicorn where they just want to experience that. They would rather hook up with me or see me as a sexual fetish or a sex toy. They would rather experience that in a moment than a lifetime. If I need to scratch that itch, then unfortunately I have to derobe and kind of be that cis bro that those guys want me to be in the moment, which I feel it's kind of sad, and definitely it's just unfortunate that I have to do that. And I know that I don't have to do that because you don't have to have sex, right? But I know in order for me to use these apps, which is kind of what we use to kind of meet people now, unfortunately, I kind of have to have lived this double life. For me, I would say my gender identity is almost a cock block for my sex life, because of the stuff that I've been through my journey. I'm very precautious about who I let enter this kind of intimate bubble, or the intimacy that I create for myself. I've never really had a full relationship as, Laé D. I feel that's such a shame, because we as gender non-binary people, as who don't really fit the mold, we actually have more to offer in a relationship, because we know what it's like to be rejected, and we know what it's like to be kind of cast aside. So we are, at least in my opinion, we're a little bit more nurturing, and we definitely care for our partners in a fun way. I think it's something that should definitely be talked about, because it's something that isn't talked about, whereas people who are attracted to trans people or gender non-binary people feel they have to kind of be more underground about their attraction to us, which I feel is such a shame, because if it was celebrated, or if it wasn't even a talking point in general, I feel tokenism for us as trans people, or even people of color, wouldn't even be a thing. I know that eventually I will find that one person who will accept me for all of me, for all forms of me.